What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. Rope Monster coming at you from the office here in beautiful Playa del Carmen, stormy Playa del Carmen. Happy Sunday to you all. In today's video, we're going to dig into a couple different subjects, questions that I get all the time. Why did you come to Playa del Carmen in the first place? Why do you stay? The downsides, some of the common complaints about Playa, the struggles of low season. And really the point of this is to start up a conversation and invite more questions to do more videos like this one. Today I'm going to answer a few commonly asked questions for sure. I'll probably throw some comments up on the screen from subscribers. So let's dig in, guys. If you enjoy this style of video, laid back, Sunday vibes, let me know in the comments. Just put Sunday vibes and we'll do more of these conversation style videos. First of all, guys, we're going to dig into the struggles and the downsides of staying in Playa del Carmen, specifically year round. A lot of people leave, and then we'll dig into why I came in the first place. I was actually living in Cuenca, Ecuador before this. We'll talk about why I came to Playa, what drew me here. And then most importantly of all, we'll talk about why I've stayed in Playa, why I've made it my permanent home, and why I rarely leave, even during low season, except for maybe short trips to Colombia or other parts of Mexico. Let's dig in, guys. Vámonos. So my friends, let's dig into some of these struggles and some of the negative things before we get into why I came in the first place and why I stayed. Let's get some of the obvious ones out of the way, and feel free to add some in the comments if you have any extras that I left out. But the heat, humidity, storms, and hurricanes. Guys, low season especially, things get hot, humid. We get tropical cyclones, we get hurricanes. And sometimes this comes along with power outages that can last for 3 days. So this is one of the most obvious struggles of living here. A lot of people underestimate the heat and humidity and how that's going to affect them. It can cause fatigue, dehydration, and also during low season, an influx in mosquitoes, especially during the rainy season. So there's things you can do to counterbalance, counteract some of this, keep your B complex levels high. I do intramuscular B vitamin shots personally. And so while my friends are busy getting eaten alive by mosquitoes, I'm sitting there unscathed. And I don't enjoy watching my friends get eaten alive by mosquitoes, but it's nice when it's not happening to me. Guys, but some of the risks that do come on a serious note with the mosquitoes are dengue fever. A lot of folks don't know about dengue. I've met people on colectivos and buses and around town who have come from the UK or other parts of the world who had no clue about dengue. They were shocked when I mentioned it. So do be aware of that. The locals oftentimes will burn cardboard or something to create smoke to keep the mosquitoes away as well while they're outdoors. Keeping your apartment with cross breezes from fans and things like that can help a lot. But not only do they carry dengue, they can carry other things, and they're just incredibly annoying. Ask my buddy Lee if you're watching this. Feel free to leave in the comments how they were literally getting you through your shirt the other day when we were at Quinta Paria. That's unfortunate. Let's move on to another obvious one, is the sargassum, the seaweed. It does off-gas. I've done a video on that. I'll link it in the description below. It makes it much less pleasant to swim in the ocean or spend time at the beach. And so with all these things adding up, you may be wondering, why go to Playa del Carmen? Why stay? Stick around to the end of the video. I've got plenty of reasons. But yeah, guys, the hurricanes, I don't need to even mention the risks there. Anything worse than a Category 2, you may want to consider leaving Playa. I stayed for Hurricane Beryl, and I actually kind of enjoyed that show of force by Mother Nature. Not everybody loves that. And I also actually kind of enjoy the storms because then I can sleep, take naps, but it's not for everyone. And the power outages, sometimes there's sewage issues, the Wi-Fi and electricity could be out for 2 or 3 days. So you really have to have kind of backup plans, candles, maybe get yourself a deck of Uno cards, and hopefully you have a special friend you can pass the storms with. Those are all helpful little bits of advice. I want to touch on another really common one that some folks underestimate. I recently talked to some subscribers in person, and they were like, you mentioned the dogs in La Colosio and some of the other neighborhoods, but the street dogs, the noise, the vendors, the clubs, and the scooter noise. So all of this comes back down to noise, right? So there's a lot of vendors back in the Colosio neighborhood and elsewhere, anywhere in Mexico. And we've got the panadero con el panadero con el pan, or bolillos calientitos. You start to hear this in your head, even when they're not even going by. You can get woken up from your nap, people hitting their little bell, selling whatever, shaved ice or whatever it may be, even trash bags, riding around with the automated thing saying, 11 bolsas para basura, 15 pesos, So those things are definitely quirks and downsides. We've got a couple more. One that I really want to touch on. This is one that people don't really consider when moving down here full time. So let's dig into this one and spend a little more time on this one right here. All right, my friends, as always, if you're enjoying the content, all I ask for in return is that you smash the like button for me and subscribe if you haven't already. Let's move on to the final downside or struggle of Playa del Carmen, and that is transient community. Everybody leaves and it gets lonely, right? That's something you hear about a lot, and it's true that the digital nomads tend to all leave because they have the means to. They're here. They sign a 6-month lease from November to April or something like that, December to June it can be, but typically mid-November to mid-May, and they're out. They start disappearing. All of a sudden you're like, oh, where's this person? Where's that person? Well, they're in Bali. They're in a different part of the world with a more favorable climate. And so while it is true that the digital nomads leave, a lot of Mexicans tend to come here from other parts of Mexico, Chihuahua, Mexico City, Guadalajara on vacation to take advantage of summer break and the fact that the prices are cheaper on Airbnbs and resorts. So actually, it's a good opportunity to make new friendships. Maybe if you're single, there's different people to date. I've recently gone out with someone from Chihuahua, and we had a really good time. I've made some meaningful friendships, entire families, people from Mexico City. So actually, there is some rebuttal to that whole transient community thing. And then we'll talk a little bit more about how this gives you a chance to strengthen your relationships with those who do stay. Because I have a few really close friends who don't leave. So you tend to find your people, the full-time Playa people, and those relationships and bonds become stronger and stronger. So the transient community, though, is something to think about, is that you build up this meaningful group of friends and this circle of friends. For example, B Playa has a rooftop where expats go and socialize. And during high season, that event, every Friday, 8 p.m. to about midnight, that event is full. The rooftop is packed, and there's never-ending opportunity to meet people. I had some friends go the other night. They invited me, and I decided not to go, and they got there, and there was like 3 people. And then I think this last Friday, they didn't even bother opening it. So you can start to lean really heavily on certain groups or friendships or communities, and they evaporate during low season. So that is something to be cognizant of. Let's move on to why I came to Playa in the first place. Once again, guys, thank you all for being here, and happy Sunday. So why I came here in the first place to Playa. It's kind of a fun story. It was sort of by accident. I had come here on vacation before when I lived in Puerto Vallarta, but I was living in Ecuador, and I really started to miss spicy salsa, totopos like corn chips, tortillas. I missed Mexican food, and I missed the beaches. So I decided to come back to Mexico flew into Cancun, and I was going to try out Tulum just to give it a shot. And I was on the Colectivo down there, and I traded Colectivos here in Playa, and I saw the beach and the color of the water. This was mid-November when everything is usually looking really nice. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to potentially stay here. So I really came back to Mexico, and specifically to Playa, because of the beaches. I think that's really common. You see photos, you see videos of this Curacao blue water, aquamarine water. And with that comes, diving, snorkeling, spearfishing, all things that I really love. And also this region of Quintana Roo has the cenotes. And so that gives you never-ending diving opportunities, other swimming holes, places to explore and enjoy. And that's really something to consider that's very unique to this part of Mexico. So that's another thing that brought me here. I like to go spearfishing with my friend Julian and some other friends from time to time. You can go spearfishing for lobster. You can go snorkel the reef. We have, I think, one of the largest reefs, the Great Mayan Reef here. I think it's like the second largest reef in the world, but it's spectacular to have access to that. And then also, any of you who have been to Playa notice that everybody is very fit here. People walk everywhere, they ride their bicycles, there's a fitness scene, and I really like that because it challenges me. It keeps me motivated. Seeing all these fit, strong people around me, I think, okay, I gotta keep going. I just turned 37 years old, guys, and I, for the most part, feel great, except for this wisdom tooth that's slow to heal up. But in large part, that's because of the fitness community here. The beach volleyball scene is another thing. When you live in the mountains like I did in Cuenca, Ecuador, it can be cold, you've got the altitude that can also limit some of your activity. Living at sea level, having access to beach volleyball or pickleball or any of these great sports with these great communities, it's going to motivate you to be better physically. And I think that adds to our quality of life, it adds to our longevity, and just overall happiness. So the fitness scene was huge, a huge reason I came here. There's not really a lot of that in Cuenca necessarily. I mean, there's a couple basketball courts, but with the altitude, it was hard to get motivated. I would go hiking, I would go climbing in Cajas National Park, but it's a different vibe. Cuenca's not exactly a place. It's very conservative. You can't really go jogging with your shirt off, soaking up the sun. It's not so acceptable there. Another big one I touched on with that Be Playa community is networking with digital nomads and entrepreneurs. Guys, this place is full of brilliant minds, people who think outside the box, people who manage social media accounts for other businesses, YouTubers like myself, people who rely heavily on TikTok, or they just want to work remotely. And so the opportunities here to collaborate. Recently, I did some videos with William Taudian. Shout out William, my friend, the Swedish pool tricks guy, as some of you know him. I've seen some of you comment and be like, hey, it's the pool tricks guy. But William is much more than just pool tricks guy, but you can see that there's these opportunities to network. Brandon O'Brien is another YouTuber that I've connected with. We did a live stream together. Shout out Brandon O'Brien, my good friend. So the networking, whether you want to get into real estate, Regina, another subscriber and friend, Regina's in real estate in Canada and wanting to potentially get into real estate here. It's really easy to network and get into those circles. So that's a big one for me. You can avoid boredom in that way and have that satisfying feeling of productivity, even if you're retired or semi-retired and you want a meaningful project. You're probably going to need other like-minded people to network with to make that happen. So smash the like button if you appreciate that little morsel of knowledge, because that's a huge one for me. Let's move on to, we got one other one. Okay, the time zone and the ease of conducting business back in the U.S. So if you are starting a business or something, for example, if it's noon in Bali and you're considering Bali or Indonesia, Philippines, it's 9 p.m. the previous day in my state in Oregon. So it makes it a little bit complicated and wonky. Here, a lot of times we're on Eastern Standard Time. You can make calls and conduct Zooms and video chats in real time. So those are some of the main points of why I came to Playa in the first place. Now, despite all of those negatives and downsides, these are some legitimate points for staying here. But these, believe it or not, these are not the reasons that I decided to stay in Playa necessarily. So let's dig into why I have stayed full-time in Playa del Carmen. My friends, thank you for sticking around to this point of the video. We're going to talk a little bit about why I've stayed full-time in Playa del Carmen. And without beating around the bush, I can put it into one word: community. So I've lived in other parts of Mexico, other parts of Latin America, but the sense of community in Playa is absolutely fantastic. We talked a little bit about networking with other digital nomads and business owners. But when you stay in Playa full-time, especially during low season, you have an opportunity, a unique opportunity to deepen and strengthen your connection with business owners, with the community, because you don't leave and come back and leave and come back. So that's been true for me. My relationship with Doña Paula, with La Orgánica, with Sabor de los Ortegas, I can stay here and I'm still promoting them. I'm still filming content. I'm a part of the community full time. And also I'm here for my friends and my friendships. And all of a sudden the options are limited. They're like, hey Ropey, you okay to have a glass of wine or coffee? And I got this thing going on. I really need someone to talk to. And I'm here. So that really does speak to it. But the community, I have that feeling of being supported, which is also big for me. I've got Zach and Gabriella. Shout out Gabriella. Folks who are here full time, my friend Jeremiah, I've got Julian, I've got Luigi, who was just in the last video. So community is huge, but there are a couple of other reasons, so let's dig into those. So some of the other reasons why I've stayed in Playa full time, one of them is the access to high quality clinics and specialists. This has become more and more important to me. I didn't really think about this so much when I was 28, 30 years old, but once you have one or two health issues, it all of a sudden starts to resonate that, hey, I'm probably going to need to be in close proximity to specialists and doctors and potentially even surgeons or dentists or oral surgeons who can help. I mentioned recently I had a wisdom tooth yanked out, and I had that done over at a top-notch clinic. I'll link that in the description below. The clinic is called Boca Nova, and Dr. Esteban over there, Esteban Barragan, he did a great job. And I think I spent, 5,500 Mexican pesos total to have the whole thing done, including the consult, the x-rays, the anesthesia, everything, the follow-up appointments. And then recently at La Jolla, the hospital there, I had a contrast CT scan. And keep in mind, guys, this is with no insurance. These are private clinics mostly, or private hospitals. I'm paying out of pocket. And I had a contrast CT scan done on my entire head. And that was 5,000 Mexican pesos, $250. So those types of things can cost way more in the US, for example. Or they'll cost you a lot more if you have to travel from where you're currently living. I used to live in some of the small fishing villages in Jalisco, and if anything happens to you there, well, you're going to have to probably get on a boat or a bus and hope you can get to Puerto Vallarta in time to get help. If you have to constantly fly for medical stuff to, say, Mexico City, the flights and lodging will also add up in a big way. So Playa del Carmen actually has a really nice mix of high-end private clinics and hospitals. keep that in mind. I know a lot of you watching this are probably close to retirement age or already in retirement thinking about moving here. The other thing is the proximity to a major city and international airport. So I do get bored from time to time and I have to take trips, or I just want to go film content somewhere else to change it up. Recently, I've taken some time in Colombia, Guatapé, Medellin. Well, I can just take the ADO bus, air-conditioned, comfortable, up to the Cancun airport, and I can fly pretty much anywhere in the world. I can be in a different continent in a matter of hours with just one flight from Cancun International Airport. I can get to South America. I can get to Europe. I can get to back to the US in a matter of hours. It's very convenient. It's a beautiful airport. It's efficient. And so that's a big one for me. If I just want to go out to Oaxaca for a few days, or I want to go to maybe a major city and soak in some culture, which is another common complaint that we get about Playa del Carmen is there's no history, there's no architecture, no culture. Well, fly to Mexico City for $55, spend a weekend out there, get your fill, and come back to Playa. It's incredibly convenient having that airport there. And then I've been single for a while now, and the dating scene in Playa del Carmen is fantastic. I think this is a great place to be single. There's a lot of single folks here, a lot of transient community type people who come and go, but also there's some full-time people. It's a good place to meet people from all over the world. This is a very international community. So we've got people from France, Northern Europe. We've got a lot of Argentinians here. There's other folks from different parts of Mexico. So in the sense that, yes, you're focusing on dating, you're also getting all this culture and you're learning from the folks that you're going out with, whether they end up being serious relationships or just friendships. You're getting to spend time with people from Venezuela or Colombia or Argentina or Cuba or wherever and learn about their culture. And I think it makes us richer people to be able to spend time with this multinational community. So guys, that's pretty much what we got for today. If you enjoyed this, just once again, type in Sunday vibes and we'll keep these office conversation, chill videos going. Leave any questions you have for next Sunday's episode in the comments below, and I'll throw those comments up on the screen and do my best to structure the conversation around those comments. Thank you all again for being here. It's been a blast. Really appreciate you guys. Smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already. It means the world to me. See you in the next one. Rope Monster, out. Time to go get some ice cream for this. Keep the swelling down. Nos vemos. And guys, you know I gotta hit you with a tiny little bit of bonus material. So another thing that keeps me here in Playa del Carmen is not just the proximity to the Cancun International Airport, but the proximity to other adventures. For example, I can hop on a ferry to Cozumel and I'm in a different world. And I can get there in 45 minutes. I just take a taxi down to the ferry terminal, get on the ferry, maybe crack a cold one for the ride out, and boom, I'm in Cozumel. So it gives me a chance to break up the monotony of just staying in one spot. I can get on an ADO bus and go up to the ferry to get to Holbox, and boom, I'm in Holbox. I'm actually doing that trip coming up very shortly once this whole wisdom tooth thing is healed, so I can do some diving and swimming out there. And then if I want to even just hop on my bicycle, I can actually ride my bike to some cenotes like Los Buos, and Sacnite is another one that I think would be about a 25-30 minute bicycle ride. I can actually ride my bike all the way to the Tren Maya station and take the Tren Maya to Bacalar. There's all sorts of little adventures, Coba, Chichen Itza, Valladolid. So this is just a great jump off point, kind of equidistance between Tulum and Cancun. We've got Puerto Morelos right up the road. We've got Espluha, which is a crystal clear, sweet little beach town. So there you have it, guys. That's another thing to consider, is that Playa is just a good jump off point For those of you who love adventure and a change of scenery, I don't know of any better place in the world for that. So there you have it, bonus material done.